Was that video of me jamming out to Blue Oyster Cult necessary? Absolutely not. However, the topic of that classic, Godzilla, is what I am here to talk about. Godzilla was a movie released in 1954 about what seemed to be a giant monster that came out of the lake and wreaked havoc upon the city. But was this just a giant monster? No. Actually, the movie Godzilla is more than just your ordinary sci-fi film. This film is a symbol of the pain and suffering that the country of Japan went through during and after World War II. The article even mentions that Godzilla's footsteps were meant to sound like explosions or bombs, and that Godzilla's roars were meant to sound like the airplanes that were used in World War II. Due to this movie's huge success, Terry O. Morse decided to remake it to suit an American audience. The American remake, Godzilla King of the Monsters, actually turned out completely different than the original Godzilla movie. In fact, the American version of Godzilla was so different from the original that even after adding 20 minutes of Americanized footage, the film was still 18 minutes shorter than the original. The true message of the movie was lost in the Americanization of Godzilla. Now, I already went over a couple of the World War II analogies of the original Godzilla movie, but I want to come back to these because of how extremely important these are. The actions that take place in the original Godzilla movie were actually compared to actions that took place in World War II, such as the last months of World War II. Japan was absolutely helpless trying to fight the Americans, and in the movie Godzilla, Japan was absolutely helpless trying to fight off Godzilla. The attack of Godzilla can even cause radiation burns on the victim. The original version of the movie even mentions an atomic cloud that still haunts over the Japanese. Obviously, that is a reference to the atomic bomb. The original version of the movie even has a scene where train commuters are complaining about Nagasaki and having to seek refuge in a bomb shelter due to the war. Nagasaki is the area in Japan that fell victim to the atomic bomb dropped by the US. These are just a few of the many different analogies between World War II and Godzilla. Now, with the US carrying the guilt of dropping the atomic bomb, it might not come off as surprising that they took out all the atomic bomb references in the movie. However, with the removal of these scenes came the removal of the very important love triangle between Emiko and Ogata. Essentially, Terry O. Morse cut out a huge part of the story, as well as the symbolism of the atomic bomb behind Godzilla. So, without the very symbolic message and the very important scenes of dialogue, what did the American movie have? You're right. Absolutely nothing. For the release of each film, they were not favorited by critics. Critics claimed they were not worthy of serious consideration and that they were just other ordinary monster films. The huge success that Godzilla came to be was not expected at all. So, what exactly is the problem with the Americanization of Godzilla? Essentially, all Terry O. Morse did was strip the cultural significance out of the film. However, most movie critics usually recognize the loss of Godzilla's original message. In response to this, the original Godzilla movie usually receives much more praise than the Americanized one. Now, this video isn't about how well either of the films did in the box office. What I'm actually here to talk about is the Americanization of Godzilla. Now, I've already mentioned the removal of all the World War II analogies in the remake, but what exactly is that called? That's called Americanization. The reason you could say the original Godzilla was Americanized is because it was picked up by an American director and made to better suit the American audience. So, who is responsible for the Americanization of Godzilla? That would be Terry O. Morse and Embassy Pictures. Embassy Pictures was the distributor of the American remake of Godzilla, and they felt in order to make more Americans watch the film, essentially they'd have to make the film more American. After all, the American remake of the film was made only 15 years after Pearl Harbor. It seems like Terry O. Morse didn't want the US people remembering what sadly happened and what their country actually did. However, Ishiro Honda, the director of the original Godzilla, also didn't want the atomic bomb references to be too out in the open. He wanted the symbolism to be a direct statement, but he didn't want to put too much focus toward it while making the movie. Technically, he wanted the symbolism to be hidden. Honda did actually hide the symbolism, and he did so with the love relationship between Emiko and Ogata, as well as the amazing effects on the movie. So it may seem sort of surprising that Terry Morse decided to remove plenty of the love scenes that helped disguise the atomic bomb referencing. However, I mentioned the 20 minutes of added Americanized footage, including Raymond Burr, a popular American actor. This is where this becomes important. All of the deleted scenes from the original movie were meant to be replaced by the addition of these 20 minutes of Americanized footage. These scenes include a newspaper reporter, played by Steve Martin, who isn't actually in the movie, talking to Raymond Burr about what is going on, as well as Raymond Burr narrating what is going on. Terry Morse even thought it would be a good idea to add scenes of Raymond Burr talking to extras with their backs facing the camera, in similar clothing to the original actors from the original movie. This was accomplished by using scenes of the original, interluding with scenes of Raymond Burr talking to the extras. It is obvious that the Americanization of Godzilla has taken away the true symbolic meaning behind it, and this can be noted because not many people know much about the World War II connections that Godzilla has. Typically, the people that know about the World War II connections are people who are big fans of the original Godzilla. Now, we have to accept the fact that not everyone will know about these World War II connections. However, we can all accept the fact that both of these movies were truly phenomenal. The movie Godzilla changed film history and is now extremely recognized by everyone around the world.